Well, I was 15-year-old when I started just above here at Chopwell Quarry, and I was 15-year-old. I worked in the timber yards. In the timber yards, you used to load the timber to go down the mine. And when you were 15, you could work on the surface, but when you went underground, you weren't put onto what they call production face. You weren't put onto coal faces. You weren't allowed to produce coal. You were allowed to support the coal by taking the timber into the coal face, and the big heavy girders that kept the roof up. But curiosity used to get the better of people, you know. It would get the better of you to say, well, where's the coal come from? So I was only allowed to see far in, but I was a young lad. I used to go and have a look down. I used to have a look down where the miners were working, really working. They were working it's about that high. They were lying in that high for about 200 yards. Get on your belly and crawl like that for about 200 yards with a shovel in your hand. There's some places you could go on. You couldn't even turn the shovel around. It was that low. And it was wet. Some of the places was wet. Some of the places was dry. But it was hard work. But there again, it's what they chose to do. When I was like 10, 12-year-old, I wanted to go down the mine. I wasn't forced to go down the mine. I wanted to go down the mine because my father worked down the mine. And my father had 7 brothers, and them all worked down the mine. And it's all I wanted to do. It was hard work and very sort of eerie. Shut your eyes and that was Chopwell mine. Just as if you were blind. The first thing I got taught when I went down the pit was close your eyes for a couple of seconds and get adjusted to the light, because there was no light. But it hadn't been for coal. I mean, the other week we had the celebration of the memorial. Can you remember that? Of the D-Day landings. If it hadn't been for the miners mining the coal and keeping the power stations going to make the steel, the miners played just as big a part in keeping England away from the Nazis as anybody else did.